Everybody, welcome back to the Spotlight on Amputee series. It's Tuesday and it's 7 p.m., so you know what we do here. I want to give, first and foremost, before we even get started, I want to give a huge, massive shout out to last week's guests, Chevy and Miss Kayla Inman, that came on and hung out with us. Both were just awesome guests, and we really, really enjoyed having them on there. Um, Chevy, like I said, he's been on the show several times, and Miss Kayla is a new guest who we plan on coming back and hanging out with us. Like I said, we do a wrap up show, that kind of thing, and those have kind of stuck with the whole show. Since we've been doing this, you guys have taken part in all our wrap up shows and that kind of thing. So yeah, man. Again, excuse me. Thank you guys for just coming and hanging out, being a part of these, and like I said, before, whether you're an amputee, whether you're not, it don't really matter. We're still just trying to get a message out there, a positive message to basically show the world that hey, this is just what we do. We're not really here to be, a yes, it's spotlight on amputees, but it's more like spotlight on our lives and the things that we do and how we overcome and that kind of stuff. So, there's a lot of people in this space that do this kind of thing, and some have YouTube channels like myself. Some have, podcasts. Some have they do motivational videos. They have their own websites that that just help people along and try to not only help motivate people and get people up and going and get a good spirit about themselves when they're feeling at their lowest. There's a lot of people out there that do this kind of stuff, and tonight's guest is he's one of those people, and he's a prime example of exactly what I've been trying to do and exactly what my whole channel is based around is exactly what this gentleman does. So, ladies and gentlemen, I'd love to introduce you guys the host of the Amped Up 211 podcast, Mr. Rick Bontkowski. Hey, brother.
Hello, Josh. How are you tonight?
I'm fantastic, man. The heart's beating and I woke up this morning happy and it is what it is. How you doing?
I'm doing great. Had a very, very busy day at work today, and I've been looking forward to speaking with you most of the day. So, just want to say thank you so much for such a nice introduction. And I am also a fan of your work, and I am so glad that we are able to connect and collaborate a little bit. So yeah, let's do this, man. It's kind of role reversal for me. I'm used to being the one asking all the questions, so I'm gonna
Yeah.
let you drive the bus, and let's do it, man.
Hey, if there's ever a time that you want to stop and just ask me stuff, go for it. That's fine.
Cool.
Like I said, and the golden rule too is like you don't talk about yourself during an interview. But if you and I would just, I mean, hey, whatever, ask whatever you want. I don't care. I'm an open book, so it is what it is.
Cool. Yeah, I hear you.
So, I guess before we even get on the show and start talking about that, because I do want to, like I said, I want to drive as many folks as I can over to your show. Again, like I always say, amputee or not, it don't matter. It's spreading knowledge out there. Maybe there's somebody in your family that's an amputee. Maybe it's a neighbor or something like that, and they're having an issue, something, anything. Well, they gain knowledge from this kind of stuff, and they can still kind of, easily come back to this as a kind of a reference guide or anything, and that's kind of more or less what I want this to be, and that's what I've been doing. Your show is much the same, and something that I really really dig about yours, I've been watching a lot here lately, is with Miss Kayla in particular, because we'll just use her because my audience actually knows Miss Kayla. She was on last week. You guys got to really really digging in more in depth on what, like, the cause of her amputation versus let's just talk about your whole life. And I really really dig that you guys get like very 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 specific on your show, and I always thought that was like very cool. So I always commended you guys on that for sure.
Oh, I appreciate that, Josh. Very often when I do show prep, I'm always thinking about the audience and how can we engage the audience. And because amputees, people with limb differences, we all come in, many different flavors, let's say. There's such a spectrum of what we have out there. And I think it's so important for us to be able to differentiate who we are as individuals, because let's face it, very often the general public might sort of see us in one lane, so to speak. Mm-hmm. And, it's funny, it reminds me of a conversation I had with a cousin. And he was talking to me and he said, "Oh yeah, I saw you're doing a podcast, this, that, and the other." And he says, is it one leg or two legs that you lost? And of course, as an amputee, I thought to myself, this guy doesn't know like that it's just my right leg. It was bizarre. Almost like we're all the same. Like, what do you got? One, two, it's a baker's dozen, right? Who cares? And I think that it's really important in the storytelling that we sort of focus in on what is going to engage not just the amputee viewer, but let's say, just like yourself with your initiatives, the non-amputee, the family member, the person that is supporting an amputee. And to do that, we need to find that sort of secret sauce, like, okay, what is going to get interest or make it interesting for the listener? And I do recall Kayla, in terms of, how much she suffered, as a chronic pain patient. And, so much of that is identifiable when people talk about living with pain. You and I both know that really crosses a large spectrum of people.
Oh, absolutely.
There are able-bodied people with all their extremities that struggle with chronic pain. There's amputees that struggle with chronic pain. There's young people, old people. So trying to use that as a catalyst for awareness, I think is pretty much where, our creative team was trying to go with it. But Kayla's wonderful, and, kudos to her and all the good work that she's doing.
Absolutely.
I know she's very much in the advocacy space now, and she's truly an inspiration. So I'm so glad that, you're been able to meet her and have plans to, talk to her again.
Absolutely. Yeah, she's done TED Talks and all kinds of good stuff like that. So, does hospital visits like myself, that kind of thing. And again, man, it's like we were saying before, just anybody that's trying to get it out there, and there's nothing wrong that I don't want people to feel like that. Like okay, I'm an amputee. Well, I'm not out here being an advocate. I'm not out here saying, hey, look at us. Let's be a part of the. I just want to live my life. I just want to put on my leg and go to work. That's fine. You don't have to do what we're doing. That's not, and a lot of people think they have to do that. They feel like they see the kind of stuff that you and I are doing, the stuff that, Amy Purdy's doing, Ben Lavelle, I mean, there's people that are doing great things in this space, Limb Loss Boss, that kind of thing. And they're promoting people and or motivating people rather in their own way, and using their own platform and that kind of thing. And yeah, to me, it's all about just getting that out there and getting that word out there. And I don't want anybody to ever feel like, you know, well, do I have to do all this? Do I have to be out there? Look at me. Do I got to join the ACA and all this stuff? No, you don't. You can get your leg and go on about your life. And a lot of people, I think, there's different ways I've seen. There's no real middle ground in this. There's people that just go all in, or people that, wear pants, and it's just like, no, I'm not an amputee. What are you talking about?
No, I couldn't agree with you more, Josh. I was actually conducting an interview myself, and we were talking about our influence as members of this community, and the expectation that might be assumed being put upon us. And you're right. Not everyone has to do a deep dive into advocacy or, charity, or become a social media influencer, or we're not all built for that, right? But the way when we were talking about the concept of a grain of sand. And Josh, we all have a grain of sand. That's just a fact. The question is, where are we going to place it, right? Because we're all sort of contributing to the influence, the societal, stigmas or non-stigmas, or, how we're viewed as a community. And, I was talking to this guy who's in the charitable space, and I said, I don't expect a whole lot. I really don't. People just living their lives in the best way possible, whether that's in a prosthesis, not in a prosthesis, whether that's from a wheelchair, a set of crutches, whatever it is, you are having an impact on how people perceive us. So it only takes how much effort to, if you see something that you think is positive for the community, I don't know, share it on your social media. What does it take to just hit share?
Exactly.
We're not asking for money. We're not asking for you to become a Paralympic athlete. We're not asking you to start a charity. We're not asking you to start a podcast. We're not asking you to, broadcast to the world, hey, we matter. No, I'm simply talking about engaging the community in a healthy and positive way. We all have a certain amount of light that we possess. And I think that when we share that with others, all of that tends to grow. And suddenly the amputee community is coming out of that dark space, which you probably know as well as I do. A lot of people get stuck in those dark places, and that can be very, very difficult. And this is not a devalidation of those struggles. I've been there myself. But you and I, we need each other. That's the bottom line. You and I, we need to connect. We need to say, okay, hey man, what's it like for you? Oh yeah, really? It's kind of like that for me too. Or you know what? I had this experience. Oh, you had that experience? Well, let's talk about it. How did that make you feel? So I think all these touch points, social media, podcasts, charities, support groups, those resources are out there. And I would recommend to anyone to reach out, because I'm sure you would not refuse a DM from a new amputee. I can't imagine, you saying, yeah, can't help you, man,
Oh, no, definitely not.
You seem very approachable.
Yeah, that's our whole thing that we do here, is okay, I have on people that I consider to be, rock stars in this space, yourself included. Like it or not, that's just the way I categorize you. You're out here doing it. We've had Kurt Yeager on here. He's been on Sons of Anarchy, a bunch of other stuff. Kurt's my buddy, so he was happy to come on and talk to us. I've had Miss Kim Owsley, who is, let me see, saw her on here from the Amputee Coalition of America. Right there, there she is. So we've had some people who I consider to be, rock stars in this area and what we do. But I'll tell you what, man, I really, really, really love talking to the people that have never done a podcast. People, newbies, it's like, well, I got on this a year ago, and they're so excited. You can tell they're either super, super nervous or they're just completely stoked to talk about it. But what I've found is the people that are super, super nervous, by the end of it, you got to be like, okay, shh, we got to move on to the next thing. Like, we're running out of time here, because they're just like, and then this other thing, they go, oh, wait a minute, real quick, let me tell you about this other time. And it's like, no, we're running out of time. We've only answered three questions here, man. you know, so I love that. This whole channel, this whole show is for them. It's for those people. It's for the newbies, the day ones out there, the people that are just coming into their own, that are starting to figure out how to do it.
Yep.
You know, am I an expert on this? No, not at all. Not by any stretch of the imagination. But you know what? Uh, I feel that after dealing with a lot of the crap that I have dealt with, I mean, multiple amputations, well over 50 something surgeries. I was, I started with my toe, then the end of my foot, then my whole foot, then below the knee, then a little bit higher below the knee, then above the knee, then a little bit higher above the knee, and then revision surgery on top of revision surgery. It is what it is. I want people to learn from that and understand that, not necessarily well, you think you have it bad, check this out. No, 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 no. That's not what it's about. It's more or less just saying, yeah, brother, I feel you. That's why we're here. It's just like it's much nicer to talk to a person who's actually 100% been there
I
versus just
think,
being like, I couldn't imagine, man. I couldn't imagine that. You can't
yeah,
confide in it. I couldn't imagine.
yeah, I do. I think that, being an amputee, depending on what stage of that sort of rebirth you're going through, can be incredibly isolating. And going through that dark period, let's call it that dark forest that we have to travel through. Um, the first thing I always say to, these baby bird brand new amputees, right? Post-op, you know, legs swollen. How am I going to get this in a prosthesis? You
We
know,
call those day ones.
bingo. And the first thing I always ask is, hey, what's your support system like? And let's face it, if someone is not, let's say, part of a family or have a partner or living within a community that they're active in, my urgency is how can I point them towards resources that will give them not just the support, but all the information that they're starving for. So the first thing I would
Absolutely.
say is, Josh has this show that he does, this live stream that he does. You should catch it because people are talking about these issues. People are getting into the good, the bad, and the ugly, and they're supporting each other and they're rallying for each other. Hey, by the way, there's this other organization over here. Here's a link to get to their website. Or, I did some research and there's a community group in your area. Maybe you should check it out. If that's not a good fit for you, maybe you should do this. There has to be resources for us because once you immerse yourself into this, community, which is God, just beautiful, by the way, you realize I'm not alone. I'm not alone in
No,
this.
no, definitely not.
Yeah.
Um, no, and a lot of people in the amputee support groups and that stuff that you and I both are a part of. Um, a lot of people go to those with the misconception that it's there as a therapy page, and it's not. When they say support, they're talking about, hey, do you normal for your liner to do this? Is it, is it okay if I adjust my foot, or is the insurance gonna get onto, it's questions about, it's kind of like support, you know, like tech hotline or something, but you'll see those people every so often. It's just like, I can't do this. I don't see how y'all do this. I don't mind those, and I try to reach out to them, and just be like, hey, look, let's talk on here. I know you don't know me, and sometimes it's best to just kind of vent on a total stranger. But I don't really want. I don't know. I'm not crazy about my day ones seeing I can't do this. Oh my God, how do you guys do this? This is horrible. They start talking the S word and they start saying all this. I'm gonna, do this to myself. That's given so many other people false hope, or not false hope, but like, oh my God, what have I gotten myself into? But at the same time, we have to validate everyone's feelings. So that's
Absolutely.
the it's tough, man. It's so hard, in what we do. Um, I don't know when I see and meet a new person a day one, I can tell that, it's like, look, let this person have their pity party. It's going to be a rough go for the next probably 2, 3 weeks, something like that. I want to come back and talk to you after that. And I don't want to see you sitting here in this bed talking about, I can't do it, I can't, blah, blah, blah. No, it's what I'm saying. We're going to talk you through it. But at the same time, after that time period's over and you've healed up, it's time to go. We got stuff to do.
No,
You have a
I
life to live.
yeah, I really appreciate that sentiment. The validation piece, okay, is so important. So the fear of unknown, the anger, the pain, that sense of loss, right? I always think of it like, okay, your limb, you're experiencing your limb's funeral. There's been this massive loss in your life. And what can we say, right? We've all gone to a funeral. Any adult has gone to a funeral. We've lost people we love. What can you say in that space? You can say, gosh, I'm so sorry. I am so incredibly sorry for what has happened. And very often, just that, people can find comfort in that because it is validating, right? And I would want to offer some level of hope to say all of the feelings you're having now, they're real. I see you, I hear you. I know that this is not fair, that this is the fight of your life right now.
Mm-hmm.
But somehow we have to turn all of this negative into a positive. Because here's the thing, when we go through trauma, when we go through struggle, those are the moments that define our character, and those are the moments that end up being what define us as people. And I truly believe that everything that happened to me, all the terrible things that happened to me while I was sick for about 4 years, I've come out on the other side of that as a much better person. And I would go as far to say, I've never been as engaged. I've never been as joyful or filled with more gratitude than I am now at any point in my life. So sometimes that struggle, and I know this sounds weird for brand new amputees, but that struggle can be beautiful. That struggle is a beautiful part of your life in that what are you going to change into when you're shedding that skin, right? Because we're transforming now.
Yep.
You lose a
Building
limb,
blocks of your new life.
yeah, you lose a limb, everything changes. Everything. The way you sleep, the way you bathe, the way you drive, the way you work, the way you play, everything is gonna change. So looking back, I say, wow, I was kind of reborn in a way. I learned how to live again. I learned how to be a new version of me. And it's a path of discovery, and it's not easy. I'm not I'm not gonna lie. It's some days it's frustrating, it's humiliating, it's hopeless. But someone once told me this, and I truly believe it, because I've really tried to bring it into my life. And he said, you're going to have to love yourself like your life depends on it. And that would be my recommendation to anyone out there. Love yourself like your life depends on it. And as long as you stay focused in that mindset, you'll get through the bad days. And, offering of yourself, Josh, that, I so appreciate that people have you to go to. I appreciate that, when I do finally get to my inbox, pardon me for not checking it often enough, but when I do,
That's all good.
but when I finally get to it, that it's filled with either letters of gratitude, for the podcast, or it's people seeking guidance and help. And I feel very blessed to serve the community, to be in a position to serve other people. And just like you, Josh, I'm not an expert. I come from business. I'm a marketing guy. I most of my career was in sales, and I was a bulldozer. Worked workaholic type, and did really, really well professionally. But when I got sick, it was lights out, baby. Your life is done. You're done.
Same
And
here.
yeah, and now everything has been kind of a rebirth for me. So I feel very fortunate to be here talking to you.
Yep. Um, two brand new vehicles, brand new house, a tile business that was doing really, really well for itself. Gone. Savings dwindled,
Yep.
and it's what it is, man. You can either whine about it or just kind of be like, wow, that was nice. I really, really enjoyed that. That
Dust
was that was
yourself off
sweet.
and yeah, get going.
Yeah, I really did enjoy that moment and period of my life. I'll say that. We were on our way, brother. We had, kid coming and all that good stuff, and then all of a sudden I got sick and I just all went out the window.
Yeah.
Um, so what? So what? Who cares? It is what it is. You can get, all sad and down about it and say, oh, it's poor little old me shit, all you want, or you can just simply be like, wow, what a fun time in my life. I really enjoyed that.
Yeah.
Anyway, next step in my life, I guess. We're on to the next thing,
Yeah.
it is what it is. Real quick, I just want to say hello to everybody that's coming in. We got some amazing viewers that come hang out with us every week. Miss Christy Yant, trolling for Jesus, good seeing you. Backwoods 3030, my brother. Miss Kim Ousley, good seeing you, dear. Clip Farm, hey, how you doing, brother? Good seeing you. Cowboy, aka the one. How's Mr. Sherman doing? Let's see here. Scrolling down, scrolling down, scrolling down. Mama Payday, Pimp Pigeon Ralph, good seeing you as always. Miss Tammy Collin, hello, dear. All right. So, I know we said before was just like we're gonna get into the show here in a little bit, and then we ended up talking about the show. So I guess we'll go backwards. So, Mr. Rick, tell us a little bit about yourself. Obviously, you are an amputee, and how is that? How did you come about being an amputee? How did you join us in the one-legger world?
I had kidney
Had
disease.
kidney disease.
I went into dialysis for
dialysis
18
for 18
months.
months.
I was fortunate in that I found a live donor, which was a godsend. I still am very, very close, good friends with my donor Wendy, even to this day. We celebrate every year. She's my kidney sister, and she's incredible. So I was
Very
very,
cool.
very fortunate. I did not do good in dialysis. Now, when you're in dialysis, for those of you who don't know, essentially what they're doing is they're taking all the blood out of your body, they're cleaning it and putting it back in. That's the simple explanation. For a number of months, I had a port in my chest, which allowed them to execute the procedure. Eventually, I got what's known as a fistula, but I had this port in my chest for a while, and it's very susceptible to infection because it's sort of a large opening to be exposed for a period of time. The fistula in the arm is a lot safer. But anyway, I had developed a couple of infections, and the ones that got really, really stubborn and nasty and did a lot of damage is I had a what's referred to as a vegetation on one of my heart valves, my aortic valve, and I had also developed a infection in the bone, some of the bone in my heel and another part of my right foot. And these things were just, they were not going away. We worked really, really hard to get them under control. And the end result was an open heart surgery with a half and half prosthetic, half animal valve in my heart, which saved my life, and also a leg amputation below the knee that saved my life. So all of that for me was something that was spoken about, processed over, because we were working on the infections for such a long period of time. The inevitability was hard to avoid. It was always something that was sort of in our purview, like, okay, this might happen. And I had a lot of time to think about it. And don't get me wrong, nothing prepares you for when you look down and part of your body is gone. But at the same time, when they did finally, take my good portion of my right leg, it was a relief, because when your doctor says to you, well, we can keep trying to fix this, and there's a very good chance you're going to pass, you're going to die, or we can just get rid of it, and you will have a much better chance of a normal life post amputation. Well, it's a no-brainer. It's got to go. And it was a long road for me trying to fix it. So by that time, I was kind of like, I'm just exhausted. Like, we've got to do this. And there were these little flickers of light in my mind that were saying, well, this isn't the end for me. Like, I still want to work. I still want to give. I still want to. And
Absolutely.
at the time, my granddaughter, Emma, had just been born. And I kept thinking about I kept looking through her lens and thinking about how badly I wanted her to know me. And I didn't just want to be a picture on the mantle, like, oh yeah, that's your grandpa. Like, yeah, he passed when, you were a baby. And have her wonder, well, I wonder what he was like, or, I wonder what that was all about. There was this burning desire in me, and I can't really explain it, but I just so badly wanted to know her, and I wanted her to know me. And I'm very fortunate to be able to spend time with her. And of course, typical kid, right? Grandpa has a robot leg. His robot leg is totally cool. I wish I had a robot leg, Grandpa. Let me look at your robot leg. Please take it off so I can walk around with it. And then she tries to put it on. I mean, it's been a blast. It's been a blast. Just seeing, I guess, myself through her eyes, and I feel very, very lucky, very fortunate that I get to spend time with her. But I mean, that's basically my my amputee journey there, becoming an amputee in a nutshell.
Yeah. I mean, okay, look, do we want to work on this foot and try to save it and go through all this crap, or do you want to cut it off and just move on with your life? Me personally, they tried doing that and tried doing it and tried doing it, and I was just sitting here watching days of my life just fall off the calendar. let's cut it off. I just want to cut it off, move on with my life, and be done with it. You know, they do crazy things with prosthetics these days. Let's go that route. You know, I just want to go that route because I'm tired of hurting. I'm tired of all this. You know, and a lot of people get like that as well. You know, where it's more or less, I want to. I don't want to keep on working on something. I don't want to keep on this treadmill that I know for a fact is just going to keep messing up or keep, you know, giving me issues over and over and over and over. So, yeah, that sounds much like what was going on similar with your situation as well.
And by that
Um,
time, I mean, by that time, I had gone through, kidney transplant, which was a huge, huge recovery. Not only being in dialysis for a year and a half, which I did not do well. So there was the transplant, but then the thing with my heart, which was a huge amount of rehab, because it was open heart. When they crack you open like an egg, it's very difficult. But then, followed by, and this is all over the course of about 4 years. And I know there's so many other people out there that went through that, surgery, recovery, surgery, recovery, surgery, recovery, yourself included, that perpetual cycle of, oh, I'm better. Oh, shit, I'm not. Oh, I'm better. Oh, no, now this happened. Oh, I'm better. And the funny thing is, Josh, it's like you see like your friends and family, they're exhausted. They're like, what's happening now? And then it almost becomes like I'm doing something wrong. Like, what did you do now? What's happening, right? Because they're on
yeah.
this roller coaster with you. And
Well, you
that,
start suffering in silence when that happens. You know, it's what's
like,
wrong?
I don't even
Nothing.
want to
I'm fine.
tell you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't even want to tell you what's going on because
Yeah. I feel bad for feeling bad. You know?
you're watching everyone around you just in anticipation, and then you give them the bad news, and they're just like, "Oh, not again." You
Yeah.
know, well, when are you going to get
100%.
better?
Or even with yourself, you know, is like, all right, I got that surgery, you know, that should be good. I should be fixed up.
I should be good
You
now.
you stop getting excited about it. You just be like, well, that should buy me a couple more months. You know,
Hmm.
it's like, no, this is supposed to be like end all be all. You're supposed to be done. But when your person's been through it so much, they're just kind of like, yeah, okay, sure, yeah, I'm done. Yeah, we'll see how that works out for me. You know, and again, it's not just like, oh, you're so negative. You're so no, you're being realistic because you know for a fact what you've been through. Again, you just don't go bugging everybody with it because you know it's like, okay, I get it. You're having a hard time right now. I don't know what you want me to do, man. I mean, I felt really, really horrible for you the first 11 times, but now it's just kind of like, you know, you got this, bud. Anyway,
Yeah.
like I was saying, you know, then just move on to the next person, you know.
I've actually had people say that phrase to me that you just said. They're like, "So you're done now, right?"
Yeah,
I'm like, "You are officially exhausted with my situation."
yeah. It's like, man, I'm so sorry, y'all. I don't know what to tell you anymore, you know.
I know you're out of thoughts and prayers for me, man. I'm sorry.
Yeah, absolutely. What was it? I saw like a meme or something like that. Said I'm gonna name my dog. I'm gonna name my two dogs Thoughts and Prayers because they're both useless.
That's a good one. Oh
That's
man.
that's kind of a negative way to put it, but either way. Real quick, want to say what's up to the Reckoning. Just popped in. What's up, brother? Good seeing you. Red Dog, my brother, and Nitro Freak. How you doing? Let me see. Miss Kim Owsley popped up something a second ago. It says, "Hi Rick, I just found out I got a partial scholarship to attend the Hope Beyond Limits Symposium April 25th in Golden, Colorado. I will see you be there, and I look forward to meeting you." Awesome. Very, very
Awesome.
cool. So you're
That's
gonna be doing
great,
that.
man. That's wonderful. I can't wait to see you. We're fortunate enough to be able to do a live tape to broadcast at the symposium. We're going to have a really, really great lineup of guests. They're sort of carving out a nice space for us to not only do a live taping, but also do some, I don't know, like kind of like Rick on the spot interviews. So maybe Kim would be willing to do one of those, kind of like red carpet interviews. I think that would
There
work.
you go. Right there. You could have yeah, Amputee Coalition of America's very own Kim Owsley.
There you go. Absolutely.
And she's a total sweetheart too. Oh my goodness, she's so nice.
Yeah,
Such a sweet
she's
lady.
very supportive of the community, which I very much appreciate.
Absolutely. My inbox is filled with just information on top of information on top of information. The stuff she finds out and shares with everybody.
Yep, keep
Just so you
sharing,
know,
Kim.
Miss Kim, I am reading those, just so you know.
Yep, keep sharing, Kim. We appreciate it. Keep it up.
100%, 100%. Yeah, she came on and shared her story on this show too. And yeah, she's a good one. We'll say that.
Yep.
Um, so after dealing with all that, I always ask people, I'm assuming that you're going to go through physical therapy and that kind of stuff. What was yours like? I mean, pretty basic.
No, actually, I was really really fortunate. I spent I spent about 6 weeks in a rehab center, so I had very very personal care, PT and OT, and it was very challenging, but in the right way, in terms of strengths, understanding my limitations, understanding what was ahead, and also a lot of practical tips and tricks as far as how to set up my home so that I could transfer easily, so that I could acclimate as a amputee.
Hmm.
I am one of the lucky ones. I am the minority. I am very transparent about that. What I went through, I would wish for every single amputee. One-on-one care, good support system, good skills being taught, how to, even the most simple of things, how to get in and out of a car. They actually had a car at the facility, inside the facility, where they're teaching you how to move about the vehicle, how to make your first meal. They had a little kitchen. Okay, you know what we're going to make today? We're going to make some instant pudding. Literally teach you, this is how you're going to prepare a meal as an amputee. So not only that, but also taking you into the physical therapy space and trying to challenge you a bit, teach you how to build strength as an amputee, what to be focusing on, what to let go of. Because I hear these stories, Josh, about folks that, the day, literally the day, if not a day and a half after their amputation, they're like, okay, you're ready to go home. Like, really? Like, how? How
Yeah.
I'm supposed to go home now and just figure it out? Well, that's what your insurance covers. And to
Yeah, you've
me,
hit your limit. What do you want from us?
exactly. Like, good luck. Good luck. I
Yeah.
hope you don't. I hope you don't fall down and come back in a couple days. You know.
Yeah.
So, to me, what is so problematic, and I'm not trying to have a soapbox moment, but what is so problematic is,
Have
you know,
soapbox away, brother. That's why you're here.
so much of it is my resentment towards the insurance industry and how people in this community are not getting the post-op care that they deserve, that they need.
Correct.
If this country wants productive, tax-paying citizens, okay, get us back to it. How are you going to get us back to it? You're not going to get us back into the workforce. You're not going to get us back into those productive spaces. You're not going to create happy people that want to work, that want to do, that want to be consumers, that want to spend their money. unless we can rehabilitate them. Let's put the money into rehabilitating people, getting them mobile, getting them to a, and I'm not even talking about running in a prosthesis. I'm not even talking about walking in a prosthesis.
No, occupational stuff, you know.
Get someone to the point where they can live what is in a semblance of a normal life, whether they're still in a chair, whether they're crutching, whatever it is, get them to a point where they can be proud of the progress that they've made, and they can function in a way that makes them feel validated, that makes them feel like they have worth. And that's what it's all about. And I think that's where I get frustrated, because so often, and I'm sure you go through this, people come to me and will say, here's where I'm struggling. And in my mind, I say, well, that has nothing to do with you. That has to do with the system, the way the system is set up. And that's unfair. That's unfair that someone like myself could get 6 weeks of intense therapy simply because of the insurance that I have, okay, and what it covers. And someone else, because of some stipulation, medical necessity, whatever bullshit, they want to throw at it to deny claims, they can't get the much needed care that they need to get back to normal life, whatever that is. That might even just be being able to interact in a normal way with your family, with your grandkids, doing, even working from home, doing something that makes you feel productive, right? So for me, so much of our efforts, your efforts, the community's efforts, we need to band together and we need to demand more. We need to say, okay, this is a problem. And as long as we keep putting out those messages, we're slowly, just so ever slowly moving the needle. And my hope is that we can make it a better experience, for everyone. So very important to me, but it does break my heart when I see people struggling with that.
Absolutely. That's what Tammy right here is. Preach, brother. She's also in the same amputee support groups as we are on Facebook and stuff. Cowboy, you be safe, my friend. And I do read your emails too. I don't know what you're talking about. He's like, you don't read, he never reads my emails. Yes, I do. I read
No.
everybody's emails.
What's wrong with you, Josh?
Yeah, getting called out, man. Getting called out. Jeez, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Called out in your own show.
Right on, right on. So briefly, we got probably about another 10 minutes or so. What exactly, what made you want to start? Like, what was the purpose for you wanting to start a podcast? Like, what was the reason that you actually wanted to get it out there and do something?
It's a great question, and I'll try to make it quick, because it's kind of a long story, but I'll try to compartmentalize it a little bit.
Well, nobody's gonna come yell at us. You can talk all you want, brother. You're good.
so really, when I became an amputee, I realized that social media was kind of a gateway in terms of different amputees that I was following, that I was gravitating towards, that I was sort of investing in their stories. And there was a friend of mine, a recording friend of mine, a guy who's in video and he runs a podcasting studio. And I had actually brought a friend of mine to him to do an audiobook. And she had published a book, and I found this guy Brian, my producer now, and we did this audiobook, and we got to talking. He saw my leg. He's like, oh, what's this all about? And I'm talking. I'm mentioning, all the people I'm following, I don't know, so many, so many prominent people in the community. And he said to me, you should start a podcast. And I was like, what do you mean? What would that be? And he's like, well, you seem to have a real connection to that community. And it would seem to make sense if you could, I guess maybe talk those people into coming on to a conversational format, and maybe you could share their stories and get that out to the community. And I know nothing about podcasting. I know nothing about audio, video. I don't know any of it. So, of course, this guy Brian, who's, you know, is sort of the genius, the mad genius, the brains behind what we do. You know, he's my producer and co-creator, and I was surprised, man. When I started reaching out to people, I was just so blown away by how receptive so many people that I idolized, that I was following, were like, "Yeah, cool. Let's do it." You know, I'd love to do it. I'd love to come on. I'd love to talk. And that was just kind of how things got started. So for me, to be quite transparent about it, it was kind of self-serving in that, like, oh, this is cool. I get to talk to my heroes. These are the
Yeah.
people, you know, that I sort of admire, and they're my rock stars. And now I'm going to be in this sort of intimate space with them. And because I'm a curious guy by nature, and I love, you know, that format, that sort of question answer conversation. Um,
Same.
yeah, I mean, you know, I don't have to explain it to you. You're a creative, and I've really enjoyed it from day one. And what you know started as just sort of this little pet project, you know, got some traction. We download in 25 countries now, and you know, we've got over 100,000 registered downloads, and you know, we're a very niche kind of podcast. But at the same time, for me, it is an absolute pleasure, an absolute blessing to be able to serve this community that I really, really admire, and I'm very proud to be a part of. I'm very proud to be on your show. I'm very proud to continue to bring this content not only to amputees, but the families of amputees and people that really didn't understand what the amputee journey was about. Because I'm surprised every once in a while, someone will reach out to me and say, "Man, I really dig what you're doing. It's got a lot of soul and this and that." And they'll say some nice, you know, really, really beautiful stuff. And I'll say, "Well, what's your situation?" And they'll say, "What do you mean?" I'm like, "Are you a baloney? You know, what type of, you know, what type of limb difference do you have?" You know, they're like, I don't have any limb difference. I just really appreciate what you're putting out there. And it's really given me a chance to find out about this community and how there's just this huge broad spectrum of people. And I'm like, yeah, we are kind of like our own little Marvel universe. You know, we come in all shapes and sizes, and we're all out there just living our lives. And we are a very, very powerful group of people. We are badasses, to put it mildly. And
Don't underestimate us.
no, no, do not. And I am so proud to say that. And as far as I'm concerned, that is 100% big time. So, you know, I'm just going to continue to do what I'm doing. And, you know, hopefully, like yourself, we can keep this momentum going and keep
Yeah.
normalizing, but also keep advocating for our community.
Yep. Exactly, man. Um, and I can't thank you enough for what you do for all of us in the amputee space, and you know, bringing a lot of making it seem normal, you know, and that's exactly what I keep trying to do with this, you know, is trying to make it mainstream, trying to make it something that's like it's no big deal. You know, you have one leg, but so what? Who cares? That should be the least interesting thing about you, you know. And that's kind of the way I've been doing with my channel, and you know what you've been doing with your show. And man, thank you. You know, much like you said, thank you to me. Thank you for what you do. You know,
Thank
There's
you.
other people out there that do it, but right now it's you and I sitting here talking, so that's who I'm going to say thank you to.
Yes, sir. Yes, the very sweet words. I appreciate that.
Yes, sir. All right. Well, can you tell the good folks where we can all find the Amped Up to 11 podcast? I know, but you go ahead and tell everybody else, and we'll link everything in the description so they can find it when we're all said and done here.
Good question. So the website is amp up to 11, AMPUP number 211 .com. So ampup211.com. You can you can listen and download all of our episodes there, obviously audio. And we also have a YouTube channel. If you were to just search the Amped Up to 11 podcast through YouTube, we've got a full channel. We are a video podcast. So if you're more of a visual person and you like to see the guests and you like to see those interactions through video, we have that as well. As far as streaming services, there really is not a podcast streaming service that we do not distribute to. So again, not my expertise. I have someone else that handles all that distribution. But if you're on, Google, if you're on Spotify, if you're on Apple, whatever platform, we are on there. If you search the Amped Up to 11
Wherever you get your podcast.
wherever you get your podcast, we're there.
Right on. Well, I'm gonna put a link. I'll put links. Period. I mean, multiple in the after that or in the description, and we'll they'll definitely be able to get a hold of you and everything. Reach out, but everybody, please, please, please go subscribe. Um, Sign up, hit notification bells, all that good stuff, so you are notified when they do put out new episodes. Like I said, it's not necessarily an amputee. I mean, yes, it is an amputee-driven podcast, but it's not necessarily based around that. It's kind of similar to what we do here, where it's just two people sitting there rapping about whatever, and it is amputee-centric, we'll say.
Yeah,
Um,
that's a word. I love
so
that.
with
Centric.
Yeah. So with that, Mr. Rick, I greatly appreciate you coming and hanging out with us tonight. Do you have any final parting words before we part ways tonight, my friend? Any
I
nuggets
just
of
want to
wisdom?
thank the community. We so much appreciate, your support, people that listen and download and share and, all those things that we do on social media. I am available to anyone. I'm on Facebook. My profile is just Rick Bontkowski, Bontkowski. And my Instagram is Rick_Bontkowski, at Rick_Bontkowski. And I am an open book. My door is always open. And I am certainly happy to engage anyone that is either looking for direction or looking for important information about support systems out there. Like Josh, I run into a lot of people in the charitable space. I run into a lot of people in the tech space. So I am always happy to engage. So if I can serve you in some way, please just reach out. I'm here.
Good deal. And again, like I said, all of Rick's any kind of all of his links, any kind of ways to get a hold of him, that kind of any contact information will be in the description of this. It's not right now, but it will be after I get with him and get some more information, that kind of stuff. So
Awesome.
we'll get you fixed up. So but with that, man, I greatly appreciate you coming and hanging out with us. We do, like I said, a wrap up show, and then plus I'll have next season. And obviously, I want to have you come back on, hang out with us, and we can talk
I'd
more.
love
There's so much more that we didn't cover and talk about. Like, you're a drummer, I'm a drummer. I mean, we didn't even talk about that. You know what I mean? So next time, my friend, next time.
Yeah, we can't leave the music thing out. I'm with you.
Exactly. Yeah, no, that's what I'm saying. Me and Kurt was talking about the same thing. He was just like, I want to come back on and us just talk about acting. And I was like, okay, yeah, we'll do that. No problem.
Cool.
So we're going to do
I
something.
love creative people, man. I love creative people.
Absolutely. All right, brother. Well, I greatly appreciate it again, and we will talk to you soon.
Thanks, Josh. Thanks,
All right, take
everybody.
care. All right, everybody. Thank you guys again for coming and hanging out with us. Thank you, Mr. Rick, coming and hanging out with us, and just everybody that comes and is just being a part of these shows means everything to us. I also want to thank our sponsors, Firmu Eyewear, Taggart and Torrance Podcast, and Bulow Prosthetics. Thank you guys for everything you do for the show, and just, I mean, without y'all, we wouldn't be able to run and operate. So we just, big thanks to you guys. Thank you to every single person that we'll go back up to the top. Let's see, Miss Christy Yant, Trolling for Jesus, Backwoods 3030. Good seeing you, Miss Kim Owsley. Clip Farm, always a pleasure seeing you. Let me see, Cowboy AK the One. I think a lot of people have already taken off, but that's all right. So let's see, scrolling down, Backwoods, there he is again. Pit Pigeon Ralph, good seeing you. Little Mama P, good seeing you, dear. Miss Tammy Conlon, thank you for coming hanging out with us. The Reckoning, hey, my brother, good seeing you. Let's see. Nitro Freak, always a pleasure, my friend. Good seeing you. Red Dog. Let's see. Keeping on going down. Terry M, what up, brother? All right. So thank you guys again. Next week we have another doubleheader coming up. We have Miss Stacy Hughes going to come hang out with us. She is, my personal friend, like I was talking about before. She's somebody who has um, I followed her journey. She reached out to me before she even lost her limb. So, I've been following her journey and been kind of with her the whole time. So, she's been on the show before. She was pregnant, and she's going to come back and tell us all about being an amputee mommy and all that good stuff. So, and then after that, on the Thursday following that, we're going to have Matt Bulow. Some of you guys may remember Matt was going to be on the show before. That's my prosthetist, and Bulow Prosthetics is a sponsor of the show. And he lost his father. Well, he's going to come back on and talk to us, and we're going to basically just do a redo of the show we were going to do before. So there you go. So you guys come back, hang out with us next week, and we're going to be, doing, like I said, another double header. And yeah, there you go. So everybody, please stay happy, safe, sane, motivated. Don't look back. Don't give a crap what anybody else says about you. At the end of the day, it don't matter. We'll see you next week.